Hi all, welcome back to my YouTube channel AI Stories by Anjali. In today's video, we are going to discuss the continuation of the last week topic, that is agentic applications, 12 do's and don'ts. So we have already discussed the 4 do's and don'ts of agentic applications. So today we will be discussing the next 4, that is part 2. Before that, I would like to thank to all my subscribers who have subscribed to my YouTube channel, and also requesting to the new watchers to please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel AI Stories by Anjali. So let us dive deep into the video. So if you remember, we have discussed the last 4 do's and don'ts in the last week video, right? Sorry, the first 4 do's and don'ts in the last week video, right? So now we will be discussing the 5th one, that is context. So in terms of agentic applications, the context is everything. Not only in the agentic applications, even in the normal LLM models, anything is based on the context. Because even though the LLM is fed with a lot of trillions and billions of parameters, it is responded only because of the context. So if you want to ask something, you have to provide the prompt to that, and then it will think and act based on that situation. Okay, so you have to remember that you have to provide the relevant context. The more context you provide, the better the performance will be there. Okay, so you can provide with the help of the PDFs, inputs, or some web scraping, etc., etc. And the main sources of this is it is a build time expertise, and the model will get intelligent based on that. So the more you fed, the more context you provide, it will become more intelligent. And it also depends upon your runtime expertise too. So these are the main things that you have to remember whenever you consider the agentic applications. So remember that context is everything. The more context that you provide, and the accurate the best the performance are. And also one thing that you have to remember is, even though if you provided the more information, if that is not accurate, if that is an irrelevant information, then it will be get overfitted. So try to provide the good context, the best context, and the more context, so that it will be very good in performance. Okay, and the 6th one that you have to consider is leverage your users. That means all your agents are relying on user expertise as well as real-time context, because the users that they are using the chat GPT or anything, like whoever are using that, they need to understand that it is having the minimum knowledge, and based on your question, it will try to acquire more things from its knowledge base, and then it will try to put that. So you have to understand that based on your expertise. So for example, if you don't know anything, if you ask that is good, it's tried to do, but you also need to know something about what you're asking, right? If you solely depend upon the intelligence of that model, then sometimes it might leads to the consequences. So always make sure you have some expertise. Okay, you have to depend upon the real world context. Okay, you should not completely rely on the model itself. Okay, so you can combine the build time as well as runtime of that model, and then you can supply some critical context and some external input, and then you can ask the questions to the model, so that you can get the better responses. So the best thing that you have to do is, don't rely completely on the model itself. Make sure to provide the input very often, so that it will try to give the best performance. And the 7th one that you have to do is, you have to learn some bitter lessons. So that means the more simple, the scalable techniques you can use for outperforming your handicrafted models, that is the traditional things. So you can scale, but sometimes your scaling might beats the complexity. So make sure you use the data in a proper way, and then use some compute driven approaches, and avoid the over engineering task, and make sure the model itself and agents can handle the scaling. Don't over burden the model. Don't over think don't make the model to overthink. Okay, so always make sure whether that is capable of doing something what you're giving. Okay, for example, if that is capable of handling only some megabytes of data, some gigabytes of data, make sure you give only that. Don't make that to overthink. Okay, so this is one thing that you have to understand, because why I'm telling the beta lesson is, for example, initially when ChatGPT was launched, when it's developing fourth version, when it's launched 3 version, and during that phase, if you ask the questions like 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 questions, again, if you ask the first question or anything related to the first thing which you asked, it will forget. So it will try to mix up whatever something that is there in your mind, and it will try to frame up the answer, and sometimes it will forget the context itself. So all these things are nothing but the memory issues or the outperforming issues. So this is one of beta lesson that you have to learn, and even though now it still exists, but with only some few versions. So the more the versions it's got developed, the problem is getting resolved a bit. So but make sure you should not overthink. You should not make your model overthink. Okay, and the next one is measure everything. So always make sure whether you are measuring each and everything that you're doing. For example, these systems are too complex to rely on the data. So what you have to do is you have to use some analytics as well as some metrics to assess the performance, and make sure you evaluate with the help of probability test. Okay, so don't completely think that okay, you're getting the response, okay, that is all. No, I already discussed about the metrics evaluation of the AI models in one video, so you can go and check it out on my playlist. You will see what are all the metrics that you can use for assessing the models, AI models. You can get a overview of that, and I have explained very clearly in 2 parts, I believe. So just go and watch it if you have any doubts. Okay, so from this measure everything, the key things that you have to remember is always you ensure you're assessing everything of the outcome as well as the model's performance, and use the data to guide the development. That means you can use the data and you can show up in the form of some analytical graphs about your model or about your application that you're doing. Okay, so we have discussed the 4 do's and don'ts in this thing. So I want to give a quick summary of that. So the 4 things that we discussed today is remember that context is the thing that you have to always provide to the model. The more context, the correct the context you provided, the better the performance will be, as well as you should not completely depend upon the model alone itself. The user should have some knowledge, and don't make the model to overthink. You have to make sure whether the model is capable of handling that much of data, and then you have to provide the input. And whatever you're doing, whether the outcome, whether the model performance or whatever, so always make sure you are measuring that. Use some specified metrics, and then you calculate everything. Okay, I hope you understand the video. If you have any doubts, please comment in the comment section, so we'll be discussing more about those. Okay, as well as the one-on-one sessions are open, so you can try to ping me in the LinkedIn so that we can have one-on-one session in the weekends. And also most people are asking some questions about the AI, generative AI, as well as some guidance map. So I will try to answer some few questions in this video. So let me open my LinkedIn. Okay, so yep, so some of them are asking me about the resume that you can use for applying the AI related stuff. So the first thing that I want to tell is make sure you try to build some skills, try to do some certifications, try to do some courses online, and try to put that. And then the best thing that I could suggest is, if you have some projects which you have already accomplished in AI, try to keep the projects as your experience. If not, try to make sure you have the right good project in your GitHub account, and try to do that, and then keep that. Okay, so one more thing that I want to tell is don't use completely or rely on ChatGPT, whatever it is keeping. Don't keep that. And most of the people are doing is like, okay, these are the skills that they gave in the job description. Everybody are keeping that. Please don't do that. Okay, so always make sure whatever you have, keep that, and then add some few things which were kept in the description. Because like everybody knows, like, okay, most of the people are using ChatGPT, most of the people are using some LLM models for creating this resume, and they're just applying based on the job description. Of course, whatever the description skills that they have given, if they are got matched in your resume, you'll get shortlisted. That's okay, that's 90% sure. But the 10% fact is that, so for example, if you have experience in AWS and if the company is looking for Azure, so will they try to pick your resume? Of course they will try to pick the resume of the people who have the Azure experience. But if you have your AWS experience, that also is fine, because they will just make sure, okay, if you are having these skills, that is good. And almost every cloud is similar, but the services names are different and little bit of different exposure, so they'll try to select you, right? So the biggest mistake that most of people are doing is they're just changing the things that they want their resume to pick up once they got picked up, and they are not performing good in the interviews. And most of the people are asking that my resume itself is not picking. So what I want to tell is, the best thing is try to keep your experience and change that experience of your project with respect to your resume, so that there is a chance of picking your resume. Okay. For example, if there is some so and so skills in your job description, so try to keep that as your experience, like your work experience, so that will help you to some extent, as my opinion. Okay, it's my suggestion. Okay, so this is one question that most of people are asking, and most of them are asking me like to refer to the organization like which I'm working. Yeah, so but one thing that I want to tell is, yeah, I will try to refer, but before I got referred, make sure you have understand each and every job description of the particular job, okay, that which you want to apply or which you want me to refer. Because most of them are needing sponsorship, and it's not, they're not getting sponsored. So once they got referred by me, and they're simply getting the email, okay, you have been rejected, like that. So this is not my mistake, right? You have to foresee each and everything in your job description which you are applying, and then you have to come to me. Okay, so please check that. So these are the two things that I'm commonly experiencing, and as I mentioned, one-on-one sessions are open. Please try to book the slot by contacting me in the LinkedIn. So thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you.